I was sitting in the courtroom on a cold Tuesday morning when my ex-wife told the judge I had never wanted custody of our children. The judge looked at me with cold eyes, and I felt my heart sink as Sarah spoke her lies with such confidence. She said I was never around and that I had abandoned our kids when I moved out of our old house. I sat there silently as my lawyer shuffled papers, and I felt the weight of her accusations crushing my soul. But then something clicked in my memory, a letter she had written to me just weeks after she asked for a divorce. I remembered the exact letter because I had kept it in a box with all the other important things from my life. She had written that I was the best father she had ever seen and that our kids were lucky to have me. She said that she hoped I would always be in their lives no matter what happened between us two. I had read that letter 100 times because it was the only good thing she ever said about me. I kept it because it reminded me that I was not the monster she sometimes made me out to be. I looked at my lawyer, and I whispered that I had proof of what she had said to me years ago. He leaned over and asked if I was sure, and I told him that I had the letter in my car. The judge asked if I had anything to say, and I stood up with a calm voice and a steady heart. I asked the court for permission to retrieve a document from my vehicle in the parking lot outside. The judge granted my request, and I walked out of the courtroom with my heart pounding in my chest. I ran to my old blue sedan and opened the glove box where I kept the letter for safekeeping. There it was, folded neatly in a faded envelope with her handwriting that I would recognize anywhere. I walked back into the courtroom and handed the letter to my lawyer, who read it with wide eyes. He asked the judge if the document could be entered into evidence for the court to examine thoroughly. The judge took the letter and read it silently while Sarah sat there with a confused expression on her face. I watched her face turn pale as she realized what I had just handed to the judge in that courtroom. She had written those words with her own hand, and now they were going to prove her wrong forever. The judge looked at Sarah and asked if she had indeed written this letter with her own signature on it. Sarah hesitated, and I could see tears forming in her eyes as she nodded and admitted the truth to everyone. The judge said that this letter contradicted her testimony and that her credibility was now seriously in question. My lawyer stood up and told the court that I had always wanted custody and had fought for my children. He said that I had never missed a child support payment and that I had visited my kids every single weekend. The judge looked at Sarah and said that her false testimony could have serious consequences for her case. Sarah broke down in tears and admitted that she had lied because she wanted to hurt me for leaving her. She said that I was never the bad father she claimed I was, and that she had made a terrible mistake. The courtroom was silent as everyone processed what Sarah had just admitted to the judge and the lawyers. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness because I never wanted to see her cry like that in public. My lawyer asked the judge for custody of my children, and the judge said he would consider the new evidence. After a long pause, the judge granted me joint custody with a generous visitation schedule for both parents. I walked out of the courtroom with my head held high and a sense of peace I had not felt in years. Sarah followed me outside and she asked if we could talk privately about what had just happened in court. I agreed to meet her at a small coffee shop around the corner where we could speak without interruption. We sat down at a quiet table and she began to cry as she apologized for what she had done to me. She said that she regretted lying to the court and that she knew she had hurt me in the worst possible way. I told her that I forgave her, but that I could not forget what she had done to me and to our children. She said that she understood and that she hoped we could still co-parent our kids with respect and kindness. I nodded and told her that our children deserved parents who could work together for their happiness and future. We talked about our kids, and she admitted that she had always known I was a wonderful father to them. She said that she was jealous of my new relationship and that she had acted out of anger and bitterness. I told her about Emily, my new girlfriend, and how she had helped me heal from the pain of our divorce. Sarah said she was happy for me and that she hoped I would find the love I had always deserved in life. We finished our coffee and I walked her to her car where she hugged me and said she was truly sorry. I drove home to my small house on Elm Street and found Emily waiting on the porch with a warm smile. She asked me how court went, and I told her everything that had happened with Sarah and the letter. Emily hugged me tightly and told me she was proud of how I had handled myself in the courtroom. She said that she knew I was a good father and that she had never doubted me for a single moment. I told her that I had never felt more relieved in my entire life than I did at that exact moment. We sat on the porch and watched the sunset together as I felt the weight finally lift from my shoulders. The next weekend I picked up my kids and I told them that I would be seeing them much more often now. They were so happy to hear the news and they hugged me with so much love and joy in their little hearts. We went to the park and played catch, and we laughed for hours like we used to do before the divorce. I realized that I had almost lost this precious time with my children because of Sarah's lies and cruelty. But now I had a second chance to be the father I always wanted to be, and I was not going to waste it. Emily came to the park and she played with my kids, and they absolutely adored her from the very first moment. She was so patient and kind with them, and I knew in my heart that she was the woman I wanted to marry. A few months later, I proposed to Emily on the same porch where we had shared so many beautiful moments together. She said yes with tears of joy in her eyes, and we celebrated with a quiet dinner at our favorite restaurant. Sarah heard about our engagement, and she called me to congratulate me and to wish us both the best. She said that she was truly happy for me and that she hoped Emily would be a wonderful stepmother to our kids. I thanked her, and I told her that I appreciated her kind words and that I hoped she would find her own happiness. Our wedding was a small ceremony at the town church with just our closest family and friends in attendance. My kids were the flower girl and ring bearer, and they wore matching outfits, and they looked absolutely adorable. Sarah even came to the wedding, and she gave me a hug, and she said she was proud of the man I had become. She admitted that she had been wrong to try to take my kids away from me, and that she regretted everything. I hugged her back, and I told her that forgiveness was a gift we both needed to move forward with our lives. Emily and I danced our first dance as husband and wife, and I felt like the luckiest man alive that evening. We spent our honeymoon at a small cabin in the mountains where we hiked and enjoyed the peaceful scenery. When we returned home, we started building our new life together with my kids visiting us on all their weekends. Emily became the stepmother I always knew she would be, and she loved my kids as if they were her own. My children thrived under her care, and they started calling her mom because they felt so safe and loved by her. A year later, we had a daughter together, and we named her Hope because she represented our new beginning. My son and daughter adored their baby sister, and they helped us take care of her with so much love and patience. I was finally the father I had always dreamed of being, and I felt so grateful for every moment with my family. Sarah and I became good friends again, and we co-parented our children without any drama or bitterness. We attended school plays and soccer games together, and we always sat side by side, supporting our kids. The kids grew up knowing they were loved by both their parents, and they never felt torn between us two. I never forgot that letter, and I kept it in a frame on my desk as a reminder of the truth that saved me. It reminded me that I was always a good father, and that no one could ever take that away from me. The lies Sarah told in court hurt me deeply, but they also revealed the truth about who I really was. I learned that the truth always comes out eventually, and that lies cannot stand forever against honesty. I also learned that forgiveness is not about forgetting, but about choosing peace over anger and bitterness. Emily taught me that real love is showing up every day and being present for the people you care about. She showed me that I was worthy of love and that my past mistakes did not define my entire future. I became a better father and a better husband because I had learned from my past, and I grew from it all. My children saw me as a role model, and they knew that I would always be there for them no matter what. I never missed a school event or a birthday, and I was always the first one to volunteer for their activities. My kids told me that I was the best dad in the world, and that made every struggle I faced completely worth it. I often think about that day in court, and I wonder how different my life would be if I had not found that letter. I might have lost my kids, and I might have lost my chance to be the father I was always meant to be. But the letter saved me, and it saved my relationship with my children, and it brought Emily into my life. Everything happened for a reason, and I am grateful for every twist and turn in my long and difficult journey. I still have the letter, and I read it sometimes when I need to remember who I am and what I have overcome. It reminds me that I am not a failure, and that I have always done my best to be a good father and man. The court case is just a distant memory now, and I have moved on to a beautiful life full of love and hope. Emily and I have been married for 10 years now, and our love has only grown stronger with each passing year. My children are grown, and they have families of their own, and they still come home for every single holiday. I am a grandfather now, and I tell my grandchildren the story of the letter that saved their father's life. They listen with wide eyes, and they ask me if I still have the letter, and I tell them that I do forever. I keep it in a safe place, and I plan to pass it down to my children when I am no longer here. It is not just a letter, it is a symbol of truth, and hope, and the power of never giving up on yourself. Sarah and I are still friends, and we laugh together at family gatherings about the drama of our past. She tells people that I was always a good father and that she is sorry for everything she did to me. I tell people that she is a good mother and that we both grew and learned from our difficult mistakes. Life has a way of working out in the end, and I am proof that second chances are real and beautiful. I found love, I found peace, and I found myself all because I held on to a letter that proved my truth. I am not the same man who walked into that courtroom, and I am grateful for every single step of my journey. Thank you for spending your time with Heartline Stories Truth. Subscribe for more original stories about family, resilience, healing, and second chances.